The main I will show you my whole vision of this problem, and actually I called it "What's fundamentally wrong in testing semantics." I was hoping that Vivek will be still here, but oh yeah, you're here. Great. So you all know why naming is important. When we have good naming, it explains better what's going on. We can also use our knowledge from different field or different application or different kind of engineering to understand what's going on, and it adds some culture. For example, where we have many interesting JavaScript libraries which have certain interesting names. But as we all know, this saying that actually there are only two hard problems in IT, and one of them is caching, and the second one is good naming, and maybe also off by one errors, because there are really three of the main problems. So what's the problem I can see here with naming in testing? So can you please tell me honestly, there are basically two results of tests. One of them is pass and one of them is fail. But what means pass and what means fail? Is pass a positive or a negative result? Who of you? Okay, maybe later. And what does it mean when a testing suite gives you a false positive result? A false positive result. That's a false positive is something that should ring you a bell, because you heard this word many times. Let's have a look at well, you can't see here anything, but green is positive or negative? What do you think? Who thinks green is positive? Who thinks green is negative? Okay, only one person who knows what I'm going to. So examples from different fields. What does it mean that a HIV test is positive? Is it a good message or a bad message? Guys, it's a bad message. It's a bad message. What, for example, Lyme disease. Something very popular in Poland. Some of you have dogs, some of you go to the forest, they have ticks, and they can transfer a disease called borreliosis. When you test positive for borreliosis, that's a bad message. There is a problem. This is another example. We have an algorithm. An algorithm finds out a person who positively answers to a test if he is going to make a manslaughter. Is it a good message? And how many false positives would you expect, and how many people could go to jail innocently? So recently I'm reading this book. Actually, I'm listening to this book by Hannah Frey. She's a mathematician, and she wrote a book on algorithms. And the field of algorithms is very close to ours, because it's also computer science. When you say, for example, an algorithm tested positively that something and detected something, it means that it is there is a problem. There is something detected, right? And what means when a test is false positive? False positive is when apps is working and the tests are failing, or other way, the app is broken and the tests are passing. So what is false positive? Who believes that app works but testing is failing? Hands up. Oh, who thinks that app is broken but tests are passing? Very good. Very good. So you know what I'm talking about, and actually you're not that much confused by green passing and red failing. But maybe to be consistent with this approach to general terms, we should, to be consistent, we should think about positive and negative tests. Positive the test is actually for a bug. We always write a test for a bug. We don't want the test to show us that something is working. We want the test to show us that something is broken, right? So if we use the right terms to describe testing, we could say that we have test sensitivity and specificity. So sensitivity in Polish is czułość, and specificity is swoistość or specyficzność, but rather swoistość. And if we fix this naming, it would be okay to say that our tests are too sensitive because we get false positives. For example, I can't give you now an example because this is so confusing. This is absolutely a nightmare, you know, and I think that this nightmare comes from our naming. It's not because it's difficult. It's just these are only two booleans, right? It's not. It's something that we should not feel as difficult. But well, sounds difficult. So yes, false positive. A false positive is actually when we found a bug, but there was no bug, right? That's false positive. So I had this in end-to-end testing when I was using not Synon, but this one you criticized, Selenium driver, and it was so slow that the test was timeouting. So it gives us a red answer. So it gives us a false positive that the app was broken, but the app was working well. So this was a false positive, and a false negative is when all tests are passing, but actually the app breaks down, and we haven't wrote the test, or our tests were not enough precise to check if the app was broken. Okay, these are another mind-broken things. Yeah, and for the end, did you know what are the names of the biggest planets in our local neighborhood? Obviously Jupiter and Saturn. It's JS. Thank you very much.